Let me read and explain to you Shedeur Sanders' contract. And then you wonder why every single team in the NFL doesn't want anything to do with Shedeur. Now, if Shedeur wanted to just be a guy that sells jerseys and merchandise and not really worry about football, hey, he's the guy for you. Let's jump into the article and I'll comment from there. And don't hit me with, you don't want to see a young brother make money and all that garbage. Just give me a break. Shedeur is being heavily compensated just for playing football alone.
Now, fast forward recently to Shedeur Sanders, Deion Sanders' son, goes viral, but not for football, but for how he structured his contract. He had an equity clause in his deal with Gatorade. That clause basically said, I'm not just here as a name or a body. I want part of what's being built off of me. I want ownership in the outcome. So that clause essentially just preserved his interest. And he didn't walk away with just a one-time check. He walked away with his corrected status in the contract, and he claimed his equity.
Shedeur Sanders just looked at the NFL, laughed, and basically said, nah, I'm good. Forget draft day drama. This man just served the entire league a rejection letter wrapped in dollar bills. Imagine the NFL begging like a clingy ex. Only for Shedeur to walk away with a contract so massive, it makes some quarterbacks look like they're working part-time at Subway. This isn't just a snub, it's a straight-up humiliation. So grab your popcorn, because we're about to break down how Shedeur flipped the script, embarrassed the NFL, and cashed out like a boss.
Shedeur Sanders is going to be one of the richest quarterbacks ever. $14 million in commission from $250 million earned from his jersey sale. Already a brand, the NFL has to cut him a piece in order to access that. So y'all thought they were just trying to teach him a lesson because of his ego. It was because he was a brilliant business mind.
The NFL prides itself on being the biggest sports league in the universe. They think they're the pinnacle of power, money, and influence, like Zeus with a whistle. But then Shedeur Sanders shows up, takes one look at the so-called dream, and says, yeah, no thanks. I've got something bigger. And suddenly, the NFL looks like the kid at prom who got dumped while holding the corsage. This wasn't just a rejection. It was a public pantsing, a full-on humiliation. And the league can't do anything but sit there in awkward silence.
He's dressed like how this guy dresses.
Right.
I saw him walk out in the practice. There he is. This is Jungle of the Jungle. I watched this movie, Tim Allen. It's an unbelievable thing. If this guy's playing for him, and Shedeur's playing for him, and they still got Miles.
Don't forget Jerry Jeudy.
Our favorite player.
Yeah, one best players in the league.
He's on the All-Bra team. Will be forever. Are the Cleveland Browns the real deal, or is this just a preseason game, D-Butts? And the fact that Shedeur was damn near perfect, had 2 touchdowns, had dance, had Nike ad immediately afterwards, had the world talking. It doesn't matter because it's preseason, or is this a sign of things to come, D-Butts?
I mean, definitely had the world talking. NFL probably tweeted him out in every clip about 30, 40 times when he was playing. So, yeah, everybody's watching. There's been a lot of conversation about him.
Because let's be real, quarterbacks are supposed to trip over themselves for the chance to play in the NFL. Draft day is basically the Hunger Games, where athletes cry, hug their moms, and pray they don't get picked by the Cleveland Browns. But Shedeur flipped the script. He didn't play the desperate rookie role. Instead, he treated the NFL like a bad job interview. Picture walking into an office, listening to the manager drone on about great opportunities for growth, and then slamming a briefcase full of cash on the desk before saying, actually, I'll pass. That's Shedeur right now.
Not just playing the game, but owning the attention, audience, and upside. That's the definition right there. A player's total value beyond the field, including the media brand, fan base influence, content rights, merch sales, NIL history, and ability to generate attention, revenue, and culture. How prime equity shows on Shedeur's career. Media presence. Shedeur blogs, YouTube, IG Live, Twitch, direct-to-fan marketing machine. You leverage that to them big companies that making money off of your name.
The league expected him to crawl in and beg for a rookie deal worth less than what he makes selling hoodies online. Instead, he turned around and inked a monster contract elsewhere, something so massive that it makes NFL rookie contracts look like babysitting money. Imagine NFL owners staring at their spreadsheets, trying to justify why a guy signing autographs on the weekend is raking in more cash than their starting QBs. That's not just a snub. It's an epic roast of the entire league's pay structure.
The clause in Shedeur Sanders' contract that make him one of the richest quarterbacks in history. What has Shedeur Sanders done on a field in the NFL that he deserves to be one of the highest paid quarterbacks ever? He's done absolutely nothing on the field. But hey, I wouldn't expect anything else from Deion Sanders and his kids and the whole camp. Before Shedeur Sanders even plays it down, he should have his contract structured in a way where he'll be the highest paid quarterback ever.
And here's the thing. This move stings worse than any loss on the field because the NFL isn't used to rejection. They're the ones who do the rejecting. They're the prom kings, the Ivy League admissions office, the smug bouncers at the velvet rope. When players don't make it, the league shrugs. But when Shedeur Sanders decides he's too good for them, that's like Tom Brady getting benched for a TikToker.
Then all of a sudden books come out 5 years later, 10 years later, what happened? My point is this. There could be Haslam, remember Jimmy Haslam a week or two ago? You keep putting this on coach. Remember Haslam said, I was driving home Friday night. And guess what I said? We ain't drafting no Shedeur if you would have asked me. Woke up Saturday, they had a meeting saying they wanted Shedeur. It's like, oh. Later that day, we had a meeting saying Shedeur. It's all right, Andrew, this is on you. Mm-hmm. Coach, you call the plays. Andrew, you got Shedeur. How you know Jimmy, and you keep saying, I don't mean you, but you talking for the people. People keep saying Jimmy Haslam wants him for money and all this. Jimmy Haslam was like, man, I drove home not thinking about that dude.
Even funnier, this isn't some quiet exit. He didn't slink away in the shadows. No, he slammed the door so loudly, the echo is still rattling around NFL headquarters. You can almost picture the commissioners huddled in a boardroom whispering to each other like, wait, did we just get curved? Yes, you did. And it wasn't subtle.
Prime is not blameless, is that he did initially state he wanted some say in terms of where his son was going to go. That if he didn't like the situation his son was in, he was going to pull him up out of there. Stuff like that. On the NFL level, can't do that. And even though it has nothing to do with what I'm about to bring up.
Meanwhile, NFL rookies everywhere are probably staring at Shedeur's contract like it's a winning lottery ticket. They're wondering why they just got drafted to play behind an offensive line made of cardboard for pennies, while Shedeur gets paid like a Fortune 500 CEO to not even lace up against 300-pound linemen. That's the kind of humiliation that makes an entire rookie class question their life choices.
Y'all saying, my name is Willie B, man. Hey, he the real deal. Real deal. That's coming from Willie. That's coming from Willie. Hey, now how y'all feel now? How y'all feel now? No matter what he do, how you feel now? That man playing for his daddy. All you haters, if you hate Shedeur, you hate football. How can you not love that story? Deion Sanders, absolute legend, icon.
And let's not ignore the cherry on top. This whole thing exposes how absurd the NFL really is. The league pretends to be this all-powerful empire, but Shedeur reminded everyone it's just another business. A business that suddenly looks like the dollar menu compared to what he's pulling in. Watching him walk away is like watching someone turn down fast food because they've got a private chef waiting at home.
And it certainly turned some heads on Friday. What did Shedeur prove to you?
That he deserved more looks, that he deserves the consideration that some of us thought he deserved coming into the draft. I mean, 5 or 7 passes for 10 or more air yards for 93 yards on both his touchdown passes as well. Give the guy a lot of credit where credit is due. He's playing against second and third stringers. We get all of that because the Browns didn't play their starters. The Carolina Panthers are the Carolina Panthers. They're one of the worst teams in football. And so we're not going to go beside ourselves about what he did against them because you have to take the opposition into consideration. But as somebody who is a Shedeur Sanders fan, who believed that he got screwed over during draft day, or draft night rather, being a 144th pick, 5th round pick, to see him go out there and make some of those requisite throws and show flashes of the kind of potential that he has, I definitely think it was a good sign.
Of course, the die-hard NFL defenders will spin it differently. They'll say Shedeur is dodging competition or avoiding the grind. Yeah, okay. Because nothing screams fear like saying no to getting your ribs shattered by defensive ends twice your size for less money than a car dealership endorsement deal. If anything, Shedeur's move looks less like cowardice and more like genius. Why risk life and limb for peanuts when you can sit pretty on a throne of gold?
They don't want to have a quarterback coming in and they got to worry about his dad making noise about what they're doing, how they're doing it, how effective they are or are not.
Right.
All of those things come into play, and then ultimately, you're an executive and you've got chosen a coach, but the audience is clamoring for dad to come coach his son and all of this other stuff. All of those things are things that an executive or an ownership group is going to be worried about because they're about having control over their own product.
And let's talk optics. The NFL sells itself as the ultimate dream, the promised land for every kid throwing a football in the backyard. But Shedeur just shattered that narrative. He turned the dream into the backup option. He basically said, thanks, but I'll stick with the yacht package. It's like watching someone reject a free trip to Disneyland because they already own the theme park.
What an I think Shedeur can play. I thought he was the best quarterback in college football a year ago. Okay, he was supposed to be the number 1 pick 6 months before the draft. It paid 1-to-1, from an odd standpoint. But Will, and I know how I already know how this is going to go. I already know how this is going to be received by a lot of people because I'm going to be labeled a hater or even worse in some circles. In my opinion, which is what I'm paid to do right here, right now, so I'm just going to share my opinion. It's stuff like that that's part of the reason that he slipped to the 5th round.
This is why it stings so badly. The league isn't just losing a quarterback. They're losing control of the narrative. Suddenly, the NFL isn't the one holding the power. Shedeur is. And that flips everything. He's not just a player anymore. He's a walking billboard that says, you don't need the NFL to get rich. That's the kind of humiliation that spreads like wildfire. You can already imagine the ripple effect. Other young stars are watching this play out and taking notes. If Shedeur can get paid like this without throwing a pass in the league, why should they settle for a rookie deal that barely covers rent in Manhattan? The NFL might be sitting on a ticking time bomb, and Shedeur just lit the fuse.
I wasn't nervous, so I didn't really have too much adrenaline. It was just getting comfortable. That's all it is. It's plenty games before. I was nervous, but I felt like I knew the answers to the test. So it's like when you feel unprepared, then when you don't feel like you're ready for the moment. I know I'm ready for the moment. Did I play up to par? No, I don't feel like I did. But overall, the main goal was to win. And that's honestly what we did.
And the funniest part? The league can't even clap back. What are they going to do? Tweet something passive-aggressive? Put out a press release saying, well, we didn't want him anyway? Please. That's like someone getting dumped and immediately telling their friends, I was going to break up with them first. Nobody believes it, and it only makes you look more pathetic.
Now, we know Shedeur Sanders really hasn't got a whole bunch of reps with the ones, really hasn't been able to showcase his talent like that with the starting lineup. Now, I am here to tell you, Kenny Pickett got hurt, Dylan Gabriel got hurt, and guess what? They have no other choice but to play Shedeur Sanders. See, God don't like when you do ugly things to people, but that's neither here or there. Now, Cleveland Brown reporters and insiders that is close to the team is pretty much saying that they might not be happy that Shedeur Sanders is starting because that really wasn't part of the plan. Now, I just came across this seconds ago, bro, and this is interesting to me because I have to agree with them.
So here we are, Shedeur Sanders, the quarterback who didn't just walk away from the NFL, but did it with a smile, a stack of cash, and enough swagger to make the league look like a second-choice prom date. This isn't just a career move, it's a cultural moment. A giant flashing neon sign that says the NFL might not be the only game in town anymore.